Welcome back to Smart Wellness Tips, the place where we decode health mysteries together so you can live happy and healthy every day. Today, we're talking about a topic that I bet 90% of you here are misunderstanding. That is, what is the best blood pressure reading for people over 60? Most people think of blood pressure in black and white. Either you are normal or you have high blood pressure. We chase golden numbers like 120/80 as if it were an immutable formula. But what is the truth? In medicine, blood pressure is one of the most personalized numbers. Two people can have the same reading of 135/85, but one might be in an excellent safety zone, while the other is facing a serious risk of stroke or kidney failure. In today's video, I'm going to show you what a perfectly personalized blood pressure goal looks like for your body. We'll dissect the world's largest medical studies to see what they actually mean for your blood vessels. And most importantly, I'll share a 3-step mindset framework that I use to set safe blood pressure goals for my own students and loved ones. The biggest mistake is believing there is a single target number for everyone. It's true that medical guidelines categorize everything from normal blood pressure to stage 2 hypertension. But listen, those numbers only tell you which group you fall into. They don't tell you if that number is safe for you. It doesn't tell you if your brain is receiving enough blood, if your kidneys are struggling with medication side effects, or if lowering your pressure by a few more millimeters of mercury is saving your life or silently harming you. Why is that? Because it depends entirely on the stiffness of your arteries, symptoms like dizziness, brain fog, or fatigue, your risk of falling, the number of medications you're taking, and most importantly, your cognitive function and level of physical activity. That's why one person with a reading of 118/72 looks incredibly healthy, while another person with that same number feels exhausted, shaky, and as if they're about to faint. So, how do you know which group you belong to? To find the answer, we have to look at 2 massive studies that changed the way the world views blood pressure. But you have to read the fine print at the bottom of the page to see the truth. First is the 2015 SPRINT study. They studied over 9,000 people over the age of 50. They divided them into 2 groups: the intensive group with a target under 120 and the standard group with a target under 140. The result was that the intensive group had fewer heart attacks and strokes. Sounds great, right? Are you planning to run out and buy more meds to get down to 120 right now? Wait a minute. Let's look at the dark side. That same intensive group experienced more issues, such as dizziness, fainting, electrolyte imbalances, and especially acute kidney injury. And here is the part that almost no one tells you about the SPRINT study. They excluded the most real-world patients. They didn't accept people with diabetes, people who had previously had a stroke, people with dementia, or those with a frail physical condition. In other words, the target of under 120 was only tested on the strongest, most active, and resilient seniors. It isn't for the majority of us, who might be fighting multiple underlying conditions at once. In 2021, another study in China called STEP, involving 8,500 people, yielded similar results. Deeply lowering blood pressure helps protect the heart, but the price is a spike in fainting episodes and pressure on the kidneys. So, what does all of this mean for you? If you are over 60, racing toward the number 120 is a journey full of benefits, but also full of pitfalls. In the next part, we'll dive deep into the red warning signs your body sends out when blood pressure is too low, and I'll reveal a specific target framework based on age and physical condition so you know exactly where you should be. Don't take your eyes off the screen, because the upcoming information could save you from a dangerous fall. Welcome back to the most important part of today's video. In the previous section, we learned that lowering blood pressure too much can be a double-edged sword. So, how do you know if your body is screaming because your blood pressure has dropped below the permissible limit? Don't just look at the monitor. Look at how you feel. There are hidden signs that, if ignored, you might mistake for just symptoms of old age. First, pay attention to feeling lightheaded when standing up. If you are sitting or lying down and stand up suddenly, and you feel everything go dark or have to grab onto a wall to keep from falling, that is a sign your brain is temporarily starved of oxygen because the blood pressure isn't strong enough to push blood up high. Next is brain fog. Do you find it hard to focus, become forgetful, or feel groggy, especially in the morning? This is often the result of systolic blood pressure dropping too low during sleep or right after waking up. Additionally, if you frequently get cramps, feel utterly exhausted even without doing heavy work, or if your systolic blood pressure consistently falls below 100, that is exactly when your body is saying, "Stop, this level is too low for me." Now, we move to the part many of you have been waiting for. This is the golden target framework that I apply to 95% of patients at Smart Wellness Tips. Please get a pen and paper to write this down or take a screenshot of this section, because it is truly very important. The first group is people aged 60 to 79 who are in good physical condition. If you are still active, walking, or exercising regularly every day, living independently, and do not have many complex underlying conditions, aim for a blood pressure target below 130/80. This is the sweet spot that helps protect your cardiovascular system while maintaining alertness and energy. The second group is people aged 60 to 79, but with a weaker physical condition or many underlying diseases. If you are taking more than 4 types of medication per day, have kidney issues, frequently feel dizzy, or have experienced falls, do not try to force it down to 120. A safe target for you is below 140/90. At this level, internal organs will be better protected from unwanted side effects of medication. The third group is the warriors over 80 years old. At this age, blood vessels have a certain degree of stiffness, and lowering blood pressure too deeply can become extremely dangerous. The ideal target will range from 130 to 150 for systolic blood pressure, depending on how you feel. If you are at 150 but remain sharp and walk steadily, that is still much better than being at 120 but bedridden due to dizziness and exhaustion. You see, why do 2 people with the same blood pressure numbers need 2 different treatment plans? Because we are treating a human being, not a blood pressure monitor. If you can maintain a level of 120 or lower and still feel full of energy, that's wonderful. But if the price for that 120 is chronic fatigue and the risk of falling, allow yourself to take a step back. Controlling blood pressure is a marathon, not a sprint. The ultimate goal is not to have a beautiful lab result, but so you can hold your grandchildren, travel, and enjoy life without constantly fearing sudden strokes. And before we finish, I want to send you an inspirational quote. "God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Always maintain your faith and optimism, because your spirit is the most precious medicine to keep your heart and blood vessels healthy." Don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the Smart Wellness Tips channel, and share this video with your loved ones. See you again in our next healthcare journeys.